Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you something that I'm slowly learning about. I remember looking at the Astra Militarum Codex, and while everybody was still on Bridgehead, I was seeing that people were getting good results with Hammer of the Emperor. And I'm a big model enthusiast. Of course, I was like, yes, I want to see this. Now, I finally come back around to seeing how that build developed as you all have been getting results, but I didn't really realize what that build looked like for you all. I was surprised by the lack of tanks in these builds. And funny, full disclosure, I tried to record this yesterday, but it just wasn't. I don't know, it just wasn't going on, and this result wasn't up here. So this one coming in asked to see my Dornhole. Um, even the good old Dornhole. The Rogel Dorn Commander, double Rogel Dorn Commanders being the only characters. No Lord Solar Leontis, one Chimera, triple Torox, Kazarkin, Leman Rush Vanquishers, Ogren, Rogodorn Battle Tank, and Scout Sentinels. Now, um, this one is more things. And like this isn't shots towards anybody, but like for most of the build, we've been seeing roughly Gon Scourge, Leontis, Rogodorn Commander, Engine Seer. That's right, no Engine Seer on that list either. Battle Line, Chimera, 2 Torax, Adlin Rough Riders, Kazarkin, Triple Vanquisher, Ogren, 1 Scout Sentinel. Like that's roughly the layout that we've been seeing. Or at least that you all have been taking, because obviously I wouldn't be making this video if I was seeing it. Um, or would I? Who knows? Anyway, uh, so got a Hellhound. That's a nice little inclusion there. But as you can see, it's come down to a couple of Lehman Rush and calling it a day. Now, why am I making this video? I have an agenda to push. I like when big models are going on tables, and I'm just going to keep highlighting when Titanic is doing things because I want to see some Titanic get back on the table. I like when that happens, even though I don't usually have an answer for it immediately. But what I mean, we've seen Stompers lately, we've seen Imperial Knights tearing up the scene. Uh, Chaos Knights had a couple of lists that brought some of the bigger knights out as well. So that Tesseract Vault made another appearance in Necron. So I want to see, of course, things like a Bane Blade come back out, and I would imagine that would be in Hammer of the Emperor. Now, I am learning you all's keywords still. I'm sorry, guard players, I just haven't really delved enough into your faction to incorporate everything in my mind, especially with the new keywords and like platoon that was just your battle line or whatever, right? Anyway, not about them today. We're talking about apparently squadron and not squadron. So Iron Tread, each time a squadron unit from your army advances, do not make an advance roll for it until the end of the phase. Add 6 inches to the move characteristic of models in that unit, and when making that advance move, that unit can move within engagement range of enemy models, but cannot end that move within engagement range of enemy models. Fine. Auto advance 6 for squadron. I don't know why they didn't just give you move through walls, but I guess I see why. Because it's kind of better if they're going to limit it to squadron, which is these. I am learning that doesn't apply to the Titanic ones, but as somebody that plays Crusher Stampede, uh, seeing Crash Through and all the things that they've been more generous with giving this to. Yeah, it's nice that you have this on one Astra Militarum vehicle, and it doesn't say excluding Titanic. You just get to do it on an Astra Militarum vehicle. Your movement phase or your charge phase, Astra Militarum vehicle, until the end of the phase, each time your unit makes a normal advance or charge move, it can move horizontally through terrain features as if they were not there. And you all don't even have to roll it to see if you'll be battle shocked after it. So that's pretty good. And that means what I am hoping happens is that a Titanic model goes through a wall and causes issues. Now, the thing that why I'm even talking about it even further is because you all again have access to something that happened for Necrons, Obeisance Phalanx, Tesseract Vaults, if you know what I'm talking about. You all have ablative plating 2 times over. We'll talk about that in a second too. Ablative plating Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. For 2 command points, one Astra Militarum vehicle unit from your army that was selected as the target of those attacks. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is allocated to your unit, -1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. That's pretty decent. For 2 command points, I think that's why we saw a lot of Lord Solar Leontis. Um, I mean, I think you're taking him regardless anyway. Apparently not, though. I guess not a staple include, but 1 command point on your turn to go through a wall, 2 on your opponent's turn to keep your shit alive. But going past that, it really got me thinking about how you all have access to a very Necron-esque build. I talk about sometimes builds that have potential to be that resemble another factions, and of course, not every faction is 1-to-1, and in fact, a lot of them don't have any similar interactions and all that. But the style of build I see potential for. So for this, I'm seeing that you will have the chance to do an obeisance phalanx type of build with, and by that I mean Tesseract Vault and Lich Guard, and you know where I'm going with this if you play Guard. So, first off, I also want to talk about some other things in here. The Rogal Dorn battle tank having a blade of plating, I was like, come on, GW, you mean to tell me you used this twice over? Let's get creative with calling things that. But just want to point out, oh, the other thing I'm learning is that you all don't have nearly as many points as I give you all credit for when it comes to the bigger things. It just feels like I'm going against 18 tanks. You all are costed okay, maybe a little bit expensive if I'm being honest. I can see some complaints. The Rogal Dorn I don't feel sympathy for. Because telling me, how do you have the Tyran effects for 200 when we have the Rogal Dorn? It's the same rule. I also have like 1 gun compared to all of these options. So, take what you get. 2 less wounds, 1 less movement too. Anyway, a blade of plating once per battle. When an attack is allocated to this model, you can change the damage characteristic of that attack to 0. 240 points. A Rogal Dorn is battle tank is a Rogal Dorn battle tank. Then I also saw the Lehman Russ Eradicator. Each time a ranged attack targets this model. If this model has the benefit of cover against that attack, you probably do, it's 10th edition, -1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. 170 points. Where I'm going with this is that you can do the funky, a lot of bulk on the board build. And especially when you're looking at some of these things. So, if you're not going Lehman Russ Eradicators and Rogal Dorn Battle Tanks, I see that's not the build, obviously. I saw that through the list. But I would like more information why you're not doing this. Not to say that I think it's that amazing, but I always like to hear from the factions, or at least I try to. Try to like to hear from the factions about what it is that is keeping them from doing it. Like, what is the thing that I, as a non faction player, need to know about why you all aren't taking this loadout? Because sometimes it's not that simple, and sometimes it actually is, and people just go, I actually never tried it. So, hey, let's talk about it. Then, going on to the part that excites me, sorry, not the Lehman Russ Commander. Actually, kind of a bit. For 235 points, this is the one that shoots on death, and I was like, oh, that's kind of insane. But the Lehman Russ Commanders, in combination with these, like looking at these, right? Rogal Dorn Commander being the choice pick kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, come on, this one just shoots on death. No, sorry. The one that really, really excites me, Stormlord. Because it has the opportunity to do something really fucking funny. Stormlord has mount up. At the end of your opponent's movement phase, if there are no models currently embarked within this transport, you can select one friendly Astra Militarum unit, excluding artillery, that is wholly within 6 inches of this transport. Unless that unit is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, it can embark within this transport. 460 points. You have access to possibly 2 last cannons, 4 twin heavy flamers, 2 heavy stubbers, a twin bolter, and a Vulcan mega bolter. So, I get that if you're going to take Titanic, you probably don't need something that can't take down fellow Titanic. But looking at the rest of your build, I think you have perfectly fine ways of picking up heavier things off of the board, right? So, going past that, I want to know if you all have the option to do something that I'm still waiting for Custodes to do in a different sense. Custodes have access to a Land Raider with Assault Ramp and Solar Spearhead. And Custodes. So that means you could put Custodes in the Land Raider, put them through a wall, and then charge straight into somebody's fucking face. Now, mind you, they have Deep Strike, but you also have access to reduce the damage and make it harder to kill. Sorry, reduce the wound. Make it harder to kill a fucking Land Raider in Solar Spearhead. Looking over here in Astra Militarum, you have access to similar play lines of, I guess you could say, Star Shatter Arsenal 2, the more effective one that people attach to. Doing a Stormlord, filling it with a bunch of fucking infantry, Ogrins, we'll get to them, take up the space of 3, but 40 Astra Militarum infantry, putting this through a wall, sitting this on an objective with 8 OC, or doing whatever while having sustained hits 1 on a 48-inch Vulcan Mega Bolter, 20 attacks, 48 inches, 612. And, that's not to say that that is the only thing that needs to be amazing, but you still have access to 2 last cannons. And, again, the loadout that I'm looking at, I would imagine, is 4 twin heavy flamers, right? So that means 4d6, 511. You can pick up a lot of things that way while the rest of your tanks in the the squadron detachment, does anything that has to be heavier, I would imagine, while making it so that the Stormlord can go through walls while having ablative plating, right? And deploying Bullgrins. I would imagine that you see Bullgrins in the way that we've seen Lich Guard. Or, hell, even the bricks in Awakened Dynasty, because I think we saw a Tesseract Vault there too. Or am I think... No, sorry. No, going to the build for Star Shatter, where Canoptic Wraiths would get out and be on a point. So, there's no reanimating here, but Bulgrin are still Bulgrin. I understand that they're a lot more expensive, so Bulgrin right now, but for 6 models with T6, 3 up save, possibly 4 up invuln, and 3 wounds apiece with a 6 up feel no pain, and each time an attack is allocated to a model in its unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack. It sounds like you can just be in places and do a really bulky build. Now, to that point, I understand if you tell me that that's not Astra Militarum. Like, that's not why you're playing Astra Militarum. I can totally understand that. It's just interesting that an army that has access to something that we know most people can't necessarily handle, and then giving a dominable steed to one of the fucking tank commanders for 6 of Feel No Pain on top of that, it just seems like that's the... If you're going to take this detachment, I would assume that you're ready to skew heavy into all the heavy. Like, I imagine this is the Treadhead detachment, right? Like, you're not taking all the little shit, because you are a Treadhead, right? You want the tanks. Especially when you have shit like Final Hour, which is 15 hoops and a half just to get ignores mods for ranged attacks. Yeah, I would imagine you're doing this to kind of be a bulwark of defense. Now, looking at it points-wise, I understand if you go, well, I can fit a Stormlord, but how many Bulgrin am I fitting? And past that, as I saw over here in this list, not like it was this many, it was literally just one squad of Ogren. But, just to say, Ogren still are T6 with the 6 of Feel No Pain. It's decent enough. So, if you can deploy 6 Ogren with their Ripper Guns, Rapid Fire 3, 6 attacks, that means you're looking at a whole lot of attacks at 5-1-2, hopefully 5-2-2. Because of Point Blank Barrage. Each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack that targets the closest eligible target, improve the AP characteristic of that attack by 1. So, and they have grenades. Regular Bullgrin have grenades too. So, I don't know, I just thought, and Grenadier Gauntlet, Blast, D6 attacks, that's Strength 4. I was going to say that's right up there with my Barb Gaunts, but... Barb Guns are Strength 5. But close enough for them to still be, and that's assuming you don't go with the Volgren Maul, excuse me. 4 attacks, hitting on 3, 7, 1, 2. I don't know. I'm just saying that I understand you're playing guard, right? You're playing guard. So you want to take some guardsmen, right? Kazrakin. That was my bad. Sorry. Kazrakin, Gaunt's Ghost. Cadian Shock Troops, Catachin Juggler Fighters, shit like that. Atlan Rough Riders. I understand if that's what you're going for. I just would think that there is still a lot of play to be had by plopping Bulgrin in places via Stormlord and then having shootouts using Eradicators and Rogodorn battle tanks. Because the Oppressor Cannon does exist. And there's Hunter Killers on Eradicator. Let's see, what's your heaviest Demolisher battle cannon on the Lehman Russ Commander? So, it just seems like there's a line of play there that I'm surprised isn't being explored. I would love to hear why it's not. Or if you think that it has play or why it doesn't. Tell me all the things. Just saw this, and really, I want to see something like this on the table, and hopefully in some results. So yeah, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment from a comment. We'll end off on this one. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.